And we are on.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
That's all right. So, much better start than my last podcast, but it's all right. I think what we'll go into first is a bit of a backstory, a little bit of an intro into Nicole from Nicole's world. And I guess we'll start with, because I guess I first saw you at the Anytime Fitness gyms over at Rouse Hill. That's when I met you through Jose first. But I saw you in the room doing, slideshows on, not PowerPoint, but some sort of application. I was like, oh, what's she doing there? And then all of a sudden, you started this business, and it was a coaching business, and it was different from what you're doing in the past. And I guess a bit of a backstory from that point almost to now, to get us up to date. And then, I'll ask you some more questions from there.
Okay. So this is specifically what I'm doing for work and how I came about that? Or more
work, about you,
cool.
Fitness as well. That changed a lot as well since that room.
Okay, so I guess when I started, when I met you, I was in that room. I was working on a presentation for a client, and at the time I had started my own social media consulting business, and it was sort of like a hybrid consulting and coaching, but that was because I was brand new to everything I was doing. I was just kind of exploring what I enjoyed and freelancing and the concept of making money on my own. That was the first time I'd ever done that. At the same time I was studying, and I was like juggling a disability job as well on the side. And then that was around the time as well that I think I had signed on for PT, or somewhere near there. I did sign on with UHP, and that was probably like the second or third trainer I've ever had. But prior to that, like I'd worked with someone from like another gym and another person at a home gym, and I never really felt like I clicked with anyone, or something was off. Around that time everything was beginning for me, and then I think that was like almost 2 years ago. So come to where I am now, I guess I started really building that self-belief, and for me, like training and my career, like following my passion, has always come together because they both started at the same time. And the fact that I train has always like helped me strengthen my mental health and my drive, because every time I can work on my body, every time I can show up for a PT session. I think I signed on with like 3 PT sessions, and I like didn't go down from that till like my first year, because I was just like, I just need to stick to that commitment and not take back on it. And every time I'd show up and like show myself that I was capable, or get the really hard session, I would come away from that and then go and work on my business for like a few hours, and then go and work or go to study. And so that first half of the day really was like where all the magic happened for me, and I stuck to that for like a whole year. And then 6 months into starting my business, that's really when I went full force into it, quit studies, quit my job, and like just went in. And that's how I got here. Yeah.
So I guess the thing that stood out to me is, well, study-wise, I didn't necessarily know what or that you were studying.
Yeah.
But what were you studying?
I was studying a Bachelor of Ministry. I was in actually my final year. I had one subject left, and I had the choice of picking up that class or that subject, which was placement, for 1 semester and like finishing my degree, or going full force into my business. And to me, it just like logically did not make sense, but everything inside me was like, no, like it's now or never, because I know that if I stop what I'm doing and I just go to study for the sake of finishing a degree, I would lose the momentum I had built, and momentum was everything because it was so hard to get to that place of consistent belief, putting in the work when it was hard. And so I just knew if I stopped that momentum, it was going to be a lot harder to pick back up in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, I would just weigh it out, like, what's the point of getting a degree when I know this is what I love? I may not know exactly what it looks like, but I know this is what I enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you gain that skill? And what I mean by skill is not everyone comes to realization that that's the thing, like the momentum and acting now, because if you act next year, you might be in that different mental space and then you're not actually going to go and make it happen. So where did that initially come from? Because it's not, I work with a lot of clients as well, and it's not an instantaneous thing that someone picks up. Like maybe in the past you didn't do that, or maybe you did, but where did that come from?
I mean, if I can attribute it to something, it would probably be the years prior where I had actually started my weight loss journey. So before I started training with a PT, I was on that path of like figuring out how to lose weight on my own. And I was doing the whole like excessive cardio, like not eating or under eating. I was doing so much that wasn't helpful to me, but I had seen so much progress doing that. And that was already like a maybe year and a half journey before I even entered the gyms and membership into any gym. So like I think in high school, pretty much high school to like the first 1 or 2 years out of high school, I was like going on runs every single morning. I was like forcing myself to eat stuff that I didn't want to eat. And I think that taught me the concept of like sacrifice, the concept of discipline. And it was a long journey, and it was really hard because that's like when I started and I was doing it on my own.
Yeah.
But I think that that taught me what I could do, like, and what I was capable of on my own. And then when I got access to resources like the gym, to PT, I just had like a higher threshold to start off. So I definitely think like that helped me build the foundations to continue being committed in different ways when at the time you met me. But I think it was just like, for me, just the knowing that I was capable of more. I think that's what always pushed me, like with health, with business, just like deep down I'm like, this can't be it, like surely there's more.
Yeah. So that sort of kick-started your momentum to not just do what was logical and finish it, so you had, everyone says, something to fall back on. Or parents say that. I don't think kids say that anymore.
Yeah.
Parents used to say that at least. But, okay. So you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger. What he used in the gym to pump up, the discipline he used. He used that to do his movie stuff, his businesses.
Yeah,
governor.
I mean, I've never been told I'm like him, but that's a compliment.
What?
He's a great guy.
That's what he did.
Yeah, I think like when you don't have much to start with, because coming from like my personal experiences, my upbringing, childhood, like I think my parents always gave me the best that they could, and they were present as much as they could, but like so much has happened in my childhood, in my family context, that it was just like I really learned to think for myself. And I think that like belief in myself came from I guess not relying on other things or other people to believe in myself. I just kind of was like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to take care of myself, and I'm just not gonna let my circumstances determine that.
Yeah. So you didn't need people to say like, yeah, you can do it. You're this, you're that.
Yeah.
It's like that internal, you can do it.
Yeah, I do find that I still I still enjoy that, and as we all do, we're all human. But I think now when I do seek it, in whether it's in business or in training, when I want some sort of validation, I can always find that place inside me and be like, no, I never needed that. Like I've never relied on getting results or progress. I've never relied on that validation. So anytime I'm hungry for it, or I'm letting that drive me, I can always know what it feels like to be the other way and to get myself into that place.
Yeah. So accept and enjoy the outside validation, but then also in your head know that, oh, I did that for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on to the first question. What is your why and what is your business why? So I assume you have one. If you've read probably 2 books in the business world, you know that a why is very important. And yeah, like I guess a lot of people, they know probably what you're doing, but yeah, why are you doing it? Why are you doing the things you do in business? What is your why personally as well?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I guess in general, my business, it exists to help coaches learn how to sell coaching and how to market coaching. So I teach coaches how to make money, to put it simply. And the reason why I do that in the business space is because for me, I only came to do what I do under 2 years ago, and it has just changed my life dramatically. I think at a different level. I am a completely different person. I have access to so many things mentally that I never thought I could have access, and that translates in the way I live, because now it feels like anything is possible, and I'm not afraid to dream as big as I want, because they're really in my mind. There's no limit, and I think I wouldn't be that way if I hadn't started my business. I also do what I do in business because, again, not having much financial freedom or resources growing up, I never got to experience money in a way that was healthy, or in a way that was just like abundant. I always felt like there was not enough money, or money made me feel stressed. And while it still does today, like in different ways, it's almost like I understand that making money is not a bad thing, and having money is not a bad thing, because that was the narrative I grew up with. And making money doesn't have to be stressful. You can do what you enjoy and make money. And I guess, yeah, I love the work of coaching, and so I just want to help coaches be able to make lots of money that way. And my personal why is, I guess it comes back down to the love for showing people what's possible and being able to help them believe in themselves. Because I know, like you said, for a lot of people it's not natural, or they just don't have the tools to think, this is possible for me. They don't have the environment to be supported. It's just like, if they don't have that, I want to be the space, the person to facilitate that growth, and to always show them like it is possible. Yeah.
I think a big one, I think past experience is a big one. Like, say for example, you're talking about the gym and fitness and health, changing that, or even the first time you maybe signed up a client, or the first time you got a client result, and then the first time you got a result.
Yeah.
You're then like, okay, if I can do that once, what's now stopping me from doing it again? Yeah. Maybe the first time you're like, oh, maybe it was lucky. But then you do it again, 3 times, 4 times, 10, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I can keep doing this. I have some form of process here. Yeah. And it's no longer considered luck, or like, I think once you have the confidence, now looking back to the momentum story we're talking about, it makes sense.
Yeah, I do think that the half the battle is when you're in entrepreneurship, you're always in the place of not knowing, because that's what it's really all about. It's about creating new solutions, new perspectives. It's being like the trailblazer, which is what my coaching community is called. Really being willing to be the first to go, and be willing to be the one to take the risk to get the result, or to create the process yourself. And I think there'll always be that element in the work I do, or in the work that we do as entrepreneurs, because if we aren't in that space of unknown, and we're not learning to be comfortable with it, we'll always be timid, and we'll never really unlock our potential. And it's like in that threshold of like being comfortable, or at least willing to be in the unknown, and to try things, to take risks. Like, that's where the magic really happens. And so even when clients tell me things or they ask me for coaching on things that I personally have never been through, I used to get so like, oh my gosh, I don't know the answer. Like, I used to think that I wasn't good enough, but I just always remind myself, like, I don't need to have gone through it to be a leader. Like, I need to know what makes a leader. I need to know what helps someone become the best they can be in that situation. I don't need to have gone through all the experiences that my clients go through to get the results.
Yeah, so the fundamentals are there. I guess the mindset almost is a major part of that, because the first time you did probably PT, you were like, ooh, this is a bit uncomfortable, or I'm not sure what's going to happen, even though you had a partner that was a PT, got clients' results, or maybe you're completely comfortable, who knows?
No, I was not. I think having a PT is what made me comfortable.
Oh, it
like,
did?
Yeah, it definitely, because like the gym was a whole different space. Like, I had gotten myself to the place where I was comfortable to do exercise, full stop, run cardio.
Outside, not in the gym, right?
Yeah, outside. And then when I did enter the gyms without a PT, I was just on the treadmill. Like, I didn't do anything else because I just wasn't comfortable. And for me, knowledge helps so much. I don't need to know all the things, but I just need to be shown once, and then I'll build up the confidence from there. That's why I think having a PT in like the first time I ever approached compounds or doing proper structured training, that really helps, because if I had spent X amount of time, my ego would have gotten in the way and I would have just not gotten anywhere. I would have been like, I know how to do this, it's just like unproductive. So I feel like I'm glad I got a PT, and I always tell my friends when they want to start their fitness journey, like, at least go with a PT or someone who knows for the first 8 weeks. Like, just be disciplined, learn as much as you can, like just to the bare minimum. Because it will build your confidence. It's like my philosophy of coaching. Like, you don't get a coach like when you say you're ready. Like, you get it before you're ready. Because that's what's going to give you the foundations to have that momentum.
I agree with that completely. Because you might be, we're just thinking about it now, like, someone might be doing a 10 kilo leg press and be like, wow, by the end of the 8 weeks, I want to get to a 15 kilo leg press. And then once you find out in the scheme of things, like the leg press, one, you probably could have started a bit higher, but also two, those things can progress like crazy. So just on a small little aspect of training, like, no one's given you no one's overlooking things, saying like, no, on this one in particular, like, you can progress like this.
Like there's no expectation. And I always tell my coaches this. I have 2 coaches right now, and I always teach them how to coach me, because I've learned the value of that in my work. Because I always tell Jose, like, are all clients like this? Like, and he's like, no. You're like a different, like, because I think you get it in a way because you're a coach. And I always teach my coaches how to coach me, because I feel like it helps me get results. And that's one of the things I always say. When I start a new exercise or when I'm doing a different type of program, I want you to give me the threshold of what to expect, what kind of growth to expect, because my measurement is going to be limited to what I know. So say I'm in a deficit, and my goal was like, I need to tone down, or I need to cut for this shoot that I'm doing. My measurement will be like the number on the scale, but it's like the number on the scale doesn't equate to noticing your physique or noticing what you can do on the cable. But I'm like not used to using that as a measurement. I'm used to thinking those things are like not really anything. So I always love to ask, like, what should I expect and what can be possible here, and then I try to set it against that.
So you bring out that awareness first.
That's why I enjoy coaching, I think.
That's why I enjoy doing coaching or getting coached.
I think both. Because like I know I can be that for someone. And for the type, like, there's a certain type of person who will thrive in coaching. Not like, I believe coaching is beneficial for everyone, but there's a certain type of person who is designed to have a coach, and they are going to access like limitless things once they understand how to be coachable. And I think I'm one of those people, and that's why it's like so enjoyable for me to do and to have a coach all the time. I'll never get sick of having a coach.
And by two coaches, do you mean fitness and business, or you have two business coaches and two fitness coaches, or?
I have two fitness coaches working with me at the same time.
Yeah.
Harry is one and Luke is the other one. Luke's been with me since day dot, and he thinks I'm like his like little sculpture. Like he's molded me from the beginning, and he's always so proud of everything I do.
Yeah.
Now
Harry's
we're working
not proud,
together.
eh?
Harry's proud.
Oh.
Harry's very proud. He's proud of my bench and how far I've come in like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Harry's just over here.
I have worked with. I have a business coach, and then I have another business coach that's for like sales and marketing, and she's more on like a higher level program, so I don't have direct contact with her, but she is still my coach because she still coaches me in our program. Yeah. So lots of different mentorship happening all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. And do you ever find, like, with the business coaches, or even with the fitness coaches, that some of the information is along the same way, but it's sort of like overlapping, let's say, and it's like, it's going in the same direction, and how do you deal with that?
I feel like I've been really lucky because I haven't had that experience with my trainers at all, and I know that can happen, but I think my trainers are very they're cooperative, and maybe it's also because of the kind of client I am. Like I will say what needs to be said, and I will sort of tell the amount of times I've told Luke hey, I'm not happy with this, but I'm coming from a place of, but let's try this. I try to find the solution myself, then I'll come to the table with it. I'm not just here to complain, because I get it. Your job is to help me, not to make things easy for me. And so I think because I come to the table and I do what I can, I feel like it helps with the relationship and being able to get me to where I need to go. So I feel like I've been really lucky in that sense because I know it can happen. With business, I think I was just self-aware that if I have too many cooks, it will just spoil the broth. And and I just anytime I'm working with a business coach, I'm not a one-on-one business coach. I'm not inside any other one-on-one container. If anything, I might be a part of a bigger program, but I always make sure that program, I'm not following two processes at once. Because my business coach is going to have her process for getting me results, and the program will have its own process. And I'll want to make sure that they aren't clashing or that the coach is aware. The thing is now I've just I won't work with a coach unless I have completed the process that I'm currently trying. And if that process is working, I'm just going to keep doing that process. And I'm going to get mentorship, not to get their process, but to get mentored in the process I'm doing. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have a process that works in your hands, and then if you were to go and seek out coaching, it'd be on this process, making it better, more efficient, or making sure you're sticking to it, or...
Yeah, 100%, because that's what I think coaching is about. There has to be predominant process that gets results. That's the point. Otherwise, it's I've seen coaching where it's you just come to me and I coach you whatever you're doing. That's general life coaching, for example, but there's still a result and there should still be a process. But say in business, if I'm hiring a business coach or in a business program, I'm in it because I want to figure out how to make money, or I want to solve my problem. And so anytime I want to get coaching, I never want it to just be anything and everything. I want it to be holding me accountable to executing on the process, or why I'm not sticking to the decision I made, or why this result isn't happening. Because if the result isn't happening but the process works, then the coaching that needs to happen is just why you're not sticking to the process. And that's where the drama is. That's where our thoughts get in the way. That's where we make all these stories up, but they're not really real. We're just panicked, or we're just fearful. The process is easy. Sticking to a process is easy if you have it, but it's the drama that gets in the way. And that's what I always ask for coaching on.
Okay. Well, that leads well into the next question, which is to provide some, not that it hasn't been valuable, some value to anyone who's listening. The biggest thing that holds back your clients that you find, and what, on a standard sense, you do to sort of mentor them either out of something or into something, let's say.
Ooh, that's a big one. The biggest thing, one of the most common things is, I would say, not being willing to get uncomfortable, right? Because everyone like sort of thinks that, okay, once I pay a coach and get over the discomfort of like paying money for this thing that I believe in, the result I believe in, people think that that's the hardest part, but it's really not. I always say the way you buy is how you'll also get results. So when I coach clients, I make sure that they're not just, that I'm not manipulating them into a sale, I'm not forcing them to buy. I want them to want it, to be resourceful enough to find a way to pay. And so because of that, they'll join, and if they've joined in that mindset, they'll likely like commit to the hard work. So for a lot of clients who they hold themselves back, or they feel like they're always timid in getting uncomfortable, I always like take them back to that place of like, why are you here to begin with? Because I could give you your money back. And I think I couldn't have done that when I started, because I was just like, I was going through my own stuff. I was like having imposter syndrome. But now my coaching style is, when a client is unwilling to do the work, I'm like, why are you here? You don't have to be here. Here's your money back. I will transfer it to you right now. And I said that to a client once, and she was like, her eyes like popped out. She was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, like I can go and work with someone who wants to do the work, because I'm not here I'm here to get you results. And if you won't commit to the process, you're not going to get the results, and I'm not going to be able to coach you. So it's just not, like, neither of us win. And yeah, for me, like, I think when people are held back by unwillingness to be uncomfortable, it's not a space to give up on them or to be annoyed at them as a client. It's a space to like tap into your why, and to be like, why am I actually here? Like my personal why, and why did I choose the work of coaching? And for me, it's always that. It's that element of my personal reason is because I love to show people what's possible. So I tap into that, and I'm like, this person has more in them. I believe it. And then I tap into, I chose to do this through the form of coaching because I love to help people learn about themselves and to realize what thoughts are in the way. So when I see a client who's resisting, the first thing I do is, we're not going to coach on what you think you need. We're going to coach on what I'm seeing right now. So a client will tell me like, I need a coach on like why I can't get content ideas out. I need strategies. And I'm like, no, you have enough strategies. The process is literally there. Like, let's coach on why you're not implementing the process. And usually it's because they're overthinking it, or they've got some sort of like scarcity happening, a lot of self-doubt. And once we coach through that, they go and implement, and it gets 10 times easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the biggest one being, there's a process here that works. They've done all their research on it. They know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And they're implementing it 10%, 10%, 10%. Like, oh, I can't get content out. And then it's like, well, you can. You're not fully committing to it. Like, so you think it's either fear or scarcity? Yeah,
it definitely holds. I would say fear, and it's just like that unwillingness to fail publicly, almost like to be seen failing. And I think that's a huge thing. Like, that holds a lot of people back, because the space of entrepreneurship is very almost public. Like, you're trying new things and exposing it to the world, but there's always the potential that someone will criticize it, or you won't believe in yourself enough, and people will know it, or someone will say no and you think it means something about you. It's very, like, it's a very public place to fail. Yeah,
that makes sense. So the fear of other people knowing that what you did didn't work. What you set out to do didn't work. But it hasn't not worked yet. It's just, it could happen. So I'm not sure if it's the safest thing to do. And then, I better not do it.
Uncertainty, all of those things. It just surfaces. Like, we're not trained to be in that space comfortably. Like, our entire like education system, it's just like everything that's common in society up until the point where you're like, I'm going to quit my job and be an entrepreneur. It's like it has not prepared you to do that successfully, because it's prepared you to be in like predictable things. Like school teaches you when to go in, when to leave. 9 to 5 teaches you when you eat. And, you know, like everything is kind of like designed for you to be in a structure. When you step out of that, everything, not only does your structure like fall apart, it's like all of the things that you didn't have, all of the thoughts about yourself that you didn't have before, they just start coming out, or they start getting magnified in different ways when you try to do things.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good one. It links back to that trailblazing that you were talking about before. So previous jobs, that's just an interim in the middle question.
Previous jobs. I've done a lot of things. Done a lot of. My best job was Baskin-Robbins for 3 years. I had so much ice cream. Yeah. Hence the need for a weight loss journey.
Oh, you had it every day? What day you worked there?
Because my cousins owned the place. So I had so much ice cream all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've done a lot of retail. I've only done one fast food job, and I did that for a month, and I was like, I can't do this.
Where'd you do fast food at?
Where?
Where'd you do fast food at?
I was at a Porto, and it was
that's good.
a Porto in the city, and I lived in like Campbelltown. So, and I was getting underpaid. Like, I was not getting paid. So it was like my train ticket was my pay for an hour. And then I'd do like a 3-hour shift and get paid technically 2 hours because I was paying for like transport.
And
I was like, it's not worth it.
But at the time, the certainty was there, so you know it's worth it. You knew you were going to get your 3 hours of money. You knew the train would be coming late, take a long time, so it was safe space, right? I bought a Baskin-Robbins.
I did like makeup, so I did Mecca. I did
That's
David
still
Jones.
on your Facebook.
Yeah, no, I never changed it.
Still works at Mecca.
Mecca, David Jones. I also did, what do you call it? I don't know if you guys know HelloFresh. Like,
the food delivery.
I used to do, I did all the training, but I like hated the direct marketing, like the direct selling format. And so like I did my first day and I was like, I do not like this, and so I quit.
Wow, that would have taught you some good skills.
They did. I was young, so I feel like I was more nervous than I was willing. Because I was like, I just want to make money, commission sounds fun, and I just realized like, nah, it's not a space that I'm ready for. But I did that. I did a party, it's like a party host thingy for kids, like. And I also did childcare support, like before and after school care. Disability was the job I had before I left to do my business.
So that's 8 jobs.
Oh, you were counting. I've done a bit here and there, but definitely didn't stick to jobs for very long.
Just pumped them out. And now you're 25. It's
25.
Nicole's birthday today. Was it 6:38 doing your podcast on your birthday? Is this the first time that you've done a podcast this early on your birthday?
Yes, first time. First time I've done a podcast this early, full stop.
First time you've done a podcast on your birthday?
The best I do is 8 a.m. podcast, and that's like because it's someone else international.
Time zones and stuff like that. Okay. Well, I guess this one is an important one. Biggest changes of your life, and what were the biggest changes? And were they active or passive? Meaning, did something happen to create the change, or did you internalize change and make it happen?
Like across anything?
Like
any area of life?
Any area, so example, you're trailblazing when you first stopped. A job, that would be an example, or more so the mindset or what created that, as opposed to the actual changes that happened. You can say the changes and then say how they came.
Okay, cool. I'll say one. I would say early on in my business, I think maybe my 4th, 5th month in, I was getting some clients, but I was kind of having a dry spell. And I remember thinking I need to hire a one-on-one coach. And I approached a coach, and she was charging like 5 figures, and I did not have that in my bank account at all. I think I had $2,000 in my bank account, and in that consult, I didn't even want to do the consult. Like, I was just there for a chat, you know, when you're like, I'm not going to buy, I'm definitely not going to buy, I don't have the money. By the end of the consult, I was just in so much belief of what could be possible for me that I was like, okay, look, I don't have it right now. What can you do for me? And she broke down some payment installment options. And then I was like, I still don't have that. I can literally show you my bank account right now. I would love to pay you, but this is all I have. And then she was like, okay, like, are you willing to put down that amount and know that you have installments in the coming months and be able to keep up with that? And like, I was like, I don't know how, but I'm willing. And I'm just going to tell you, like, I'll do my very best. But if, like, I myself was doubtful. If I can't make the payments, I'll let you know. But I'm willing to put all of this down. And so on the spot, I, like, wired it to her. And then I was
Wired?
like, yeah.
It wasn't Oscar payment?
No, I transferred it.
Okay, wired,
and I was like, okay, whatever, like, I'm just going to do it. But that raised my belief so much, because I was like, oh my gosh. I walked out of that room like, oh my gosh. I just, like, said yes to a $10,000 commitment. What, like, how am I going to tell people? Like, how am I going to tell my mom? How am I going to tell Jose? Like, they're going to think I'm crazy. Like, for one-on-one coaching.
10,000 for how long?
4 months.
Okay.
Right? And I was just like, I just never done anything like that in my life. And so I went to the car, and, like, my petrol tank was blinking, and I was driving from, like, Kirribilli, so from the city. And I just remember feeling so abundant. Like, I couldn't turn the aircon on because I would not get home in time. I would not get home with the petrol I had. So I just had my windows down. I was just like, I'm driving my fancy car. I have a successful coaching business. I have all the clients I could ever ask for. And I was just, like, in that energy. And what I had to do to be in that energy was really just show myself that I was willing to experience everything that I needed to, because I believed in myself so much. And I think it's just significant of that. So, I mean, that was pivotal for me, because even though after that I've made so many more investments like that, I've learned to understand that you don't need to have it now. You just need to have the belief, and you put down whatever you can right now, and you'll make the rest happen. Because at the end of the day, I did pay that off, and I did invest more in more coaching, and I was able to make a way because I was in that energy of believing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you use that tactic with your clients now?
Yeah, I really needed to go through that to experience, like, what it actually feels like to be in sacrifice, like in willingness to sacrifice, and how uncomfortable that feels. Because I then had to deal with figuring out how I was going to do everything else. Like, even moving out on my own. Like, I remember calculating, like, my pay for my disability job and being like, I'm going to have just enough for rent.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just probably have to get another job, because I didn't know what my business was going to be able to do. And then looking back at it, I always get surprised, because I definitely would not have made it, knowing the costs of, like, what it was like to move out. Not just to pay rent, you pay for, like, everything else, your toilet paper,
then
your dishwashing liquid.
You're like, if I redid the calculations, I wouldn't have moved out.
Yeah, and, like, a fridge, a couch, like, I just didn't factor that in. But it was just the time that I made that move to invest in that coach, and then I moved out. My goal was, like, I wanted to move out, like, 6 months later. I moved out 2 months later, still not knowing, but I was in that energy, like, I'm capable of anything. So I said yes, like, I'm gonna apply for it. If I get approved, it's a green light. If I don't, then it's not. I got approved, and I was like, all right, we'll figure it out as we go. And
green light is in, like, a voodoo green light? Like, it means...
Green light, like, I get approved for the place. Like, that was the first time I'd ever moved out anywhere, so they had to obviously check, like, my bank records.
What if it was red light, though? Reapply, or... Is that what you mean? Do you mean it was a sign, or just green light, I got to accept it?
I think it's like if it was red, like, if it was like you got declined, I would have probably gone and applied for a different place.
Yeah.
Because I knew that at the end of the day, I wanted to move out. And I was like, why not now?
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's a good one. So, probably quite uncomfortable in that circumstance.
Yeah.
Like you're like, ooh, 10K, jeez, I don't have that. And well, good on you, coach, for, because regardless of whether someone has 1K or 100K, right? If you put it all in, then it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't get. Like I'm releasing a sales and marketing module right now, and I'm doing a lesson on consults and how, on objections, sorry. And when people say, when people say, oh, that's too expensive, right? You're selling a $5,000 package. It's too expensive. And then you think that the solution is lowering the price, and you go, okay, 4,000. The person's still going to say it's too expensive because it's not the number, it's the willingness to be uncomfortable, and their thought is it's too expensive. And if you don't deal with that thought, you're not going to be able to sell. They're not going to be able to say yes, no matter what you change the price to, because it's
$10.
Yeah.
Installments? Nah.
Yeah. So definitely, like it's always the mindset, and like for me, it was like I'm glad that my coach was able to see that I was like all in, because if she hadn't, I probably wouldn't have experienced everything I'd experienced, because I needed that. I needed someone to just believe in me that much and to see that I really did believe in myself. Yeah.
At least there's a level of trust.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
She didn't just say like, nah, see you later.
Yeah. I think if she did, like, I don't know, like, I always think about that. Like, would I have been discouraged and not pursued it? Or would I have... Because, you know, we mirror the belief or the certainty of someone in front of us.
Yeah.
So if she is in certainty, and she was in certainty, like, she was like, I know what you can do. And it was like, because I know this person, we've had a similar start. She's like, I know the kind of person you are. Otherwise you wouldn't be here, full stop. You would have given up on your business a while ago. And so because she was like willing to see that in me, I think she was holding that belief for me before I got there.
How often did you see your coach?
You mean before I signed on, or?
No, while you signed on.
Weekly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that through face-to-face or through Zoom? Like
Zoom mainly for online calls, and then occasionally we'd like meet up in person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was good to experience what your clients experience, basically.
Yeah. I always like to be in the same experiences as my clients in my own way. If I'm not experiencing breakthrough and discomfort and creating results for myself because of doing things that I'm not comfortable with, then like I feel detached from what I'm telling my clients. So I always like to, as much as possible, be having my own coach, or at least taking, let's say, fitness and coaching there, taking that into the space as well, because it is an element, but you just have to, I guess, translate it into business. But the easiest way is to always have a coach, because if I want my clients to pay for coaching, I got to see the value in paying for coaching.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Again?
Oh, another one.
No, just when you say like take stuff from fitness into business.
I actually was listening to a speech that he did on the treadmill the other day. And
What, the one that broke the internet?
Yeah, that one.
You got to have a goal. Yeah.
He's so like, you could listen to him for ages. Like, he could talk for ages and you just listen.
Yeah. I guess another quick questions one. Previous sport or fitness? Like maybe some people think like, oh, you always trained, you're always doing lifting, heavy lifts. But was there a previous sport?
Was there a previous sport? The closest I can think of was I used to dance.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really, I didn't treat that like a sport. That was like a social activity.
Yeah.
I've never really been sporty. Prior to training, like I was doing my cardio around the oval, and that was it. I like hated physical activity. I hated sweating, even though I sweat so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was a quick one.
Yeah.
On to the next. So, last one. No, this is Arnold Schwarzenegger question. I already wrote it down.
Okay.
I already wrote it down before we even talked. So, does improving fitness and your health and going to the gym actually help with business and career and making money? Because that's speaking, I'm almost putting myself in the shoes of someone who's like, yeah, I hear you say that stuff all the time, but like, I don't know if it's actually a thing. Like, how can fitness and health, how can that make me more money? That's all I care about. That's all I want to do. Like, why do I have to get fit in order to become successful in my career or own job, for example?
Yeah. Two things come to mind. First one, yes, 110%. I will stand for that for the rest of my life. But the first thing is, when you train or when you have some sort of like fitness goal, fitness routine, it changes the way you think, because training your body is all about like your focus. And you know, if you're able-bodied, you really just have to get yourself mentally to pick up the bar. Like, there's no resistance. You can pick things up. Why can't you pick up a bar? It's like, it's all mental. Even doing a sport or like powerlifting, it's all focus. And I think if you can have a fitness journey and you can see progress in that way, you're able to understand what that feels like in your body and what thoughts come with that. And usually you're talking to yourself. Even if you have a coach, like, there's going to be some point in your training session or out of training that you have to be held accountable to the things you want. And that's why like having like a fitness like routine or a health goal is always going to be helpful in business. That because I guess that's what produces results in business as well. But I also
focus.
Yeah, like having the focus, having the discipline, knowing what it takes to create a certain outcome. Like that output, like how it's like, if you want to get 100 kilos off the ground, you got to put 150 kilos of work or energy into getting that off.
On the build up.
Yeah. You have to, like, even just like the energy in that moment, like you have to put into it what you want to get out.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. You don't get results in your business. You're not entitled to saying I should have this by now if you're not actually putting in the work. I had a client who for a year, or she was like doing this and saying she was doing this, and then at the end of the year, bless you.
Sorry. Yeah.
At the end of the year, she was like, I haven't created the result, like yada yada, I want to give up. And I'm like, have you done the work? Like, can you honestly say, have you done the work? Because I'm not in the room with you. I can't hold you accountable. But when you tell me you're doing the work, you should have the result. Like, why do you not have the result? And she went through this whole thing, and then she came back bawling her eyes, and she was like, I've just been like lying to myself. Like, I've been thinking I'm doing the work, but really I'll do it half-heartedly, and just say I should have the result now. And so like, it's that. I definitely think training gives you that, and that gives you an access to a way of thinking that in business you can create any result you want with that. And I also think when you value your health, you know how to, I guess, you almost like know how to get yourself into a state of high energy. And when you're in business, or at least the work that I do, I personally feel like when I am healthy in my body and I feel energized, I have a clearer mind, I'm sharper, hence why I train earlier, because I'm just, for me at least, not everyone's like that, but I just feel like if I can like smash out the hardest thing, and that hardest thing is in the gym, and I can push myself there, I'm able to go back and everything just feels easier, and it allows me to physically also feel like alert, focused, like eating well. It's just like my body feels good. I'm not lethargic all the time. So in business, like you need to be sharp, or you need to be aware. And when you're a coach as well, like your brain needs to be fed. You need to know like you need to know when your highest energy is and where to put that. Because if you're creating content, like I'm creating content, and I'm trying to do it from a place of it's like 1 a.m. and I'm like dead tired, and I haven't prioritized that, I'm not going to create my best content, and it's not going to translate to sales.
Yeah.
So it's just all like seeing how it all works, and like health is like the hack to like make it move better, like to keep the machine well oiled.
Yeah. So to me, what stood out is when we were talking about before in the middle of the podcast, like the process is here, you know how to do it, you've got the resources you need to do. The doing or gym or fitness or health helps you get into the right state, because you talked about state before, to go out and do the process properly, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it doesn't, like, you can do it without physically working on your body, but you just think long term as well. When you want to have a successful business, like, you don't want to be like sitting there and like not healthy and, you know, struggling with this sickness or like all these things. Like, you want to know that you can access all of the things you want and actually be able to enjoy those things.
Yes.
Because I think that's what a lot of people neglect in business. They're like, you know, work, or even just like people who are making lots of money. It's like, sure, you're making lots of money, but are you going to be able to enjoy it? Do you enjoy it right now? What's the point? Like, in your 24 hours, all you did was slave away and, you know, think unhealthy thoughts and think all this like scarcity. I always say, like, business building should be fun. If I'm going to do anything in my business, if I'm going to make money in any way, it has to feel fun. And if it doesn't, I'm going to coach myself to be in that place of, this is fun and I enjoy this and I want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's hard, I'm like, I'm not doing it if it doesn't feel fun yet. I'm going to do the work to coach myself to get there, and then I'm going to do it.
Wow. All right, next.
That's why I'm at the beach all the time.
Yeah. Next time you're sweating in the gym or something, is it fun?
So fun.
Yeah. Is it still fun?
That's what I tell myself at core class.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Francis. Make sure it's fun. Oh, he makes it fun anyway.
He does. He tries. He
Yeah.
tries to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Successfully?
Nah, he does well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a wrap. Thanks for coming, 6 a.m. on your birthday, and yeah, providing us with a whole lot of value.
Thank you for having
Thanks
me.
very much. There we go.